There's one stock that is set to take off. Literally, the company is Archer Aviation, ACHR. They do electric vertical takeoff aircraft similar to Joby. Archer has an agreement with United Airlines to purchase 20 of their aircraft. Also has an agreement with Palantir to collaborate on flight routing software, as well as an agreement with Anduril through the Department of Defense to create aircraft for defense wartime applications. Let's jump into the stock, where to buy it, and if you like this type of ideation, hit that like button.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 Here's the idea. This company has a higher low as of about a few days ago, and it's bouncing off some key levels going back to basically the pre-tariff bounce times. So that $9 level is pretty important, coming up to a whole $10 level. Had a few sort of fake breakouts or digestions, whatever you want to call them, euphoric blow-off tops. We're weekly in this Q2 earnings reaction fall, and now we're starting to get over these moving averages and into a lot of space here. Joby leading the way. This has been a crazy move from April, from $5 to $20, and then having that similar sort of Q2 earnings fall with a little bit of a smooth ramp up that we're seeing here. So Archer did that over a longer period of time, but the similarity is uncanny, at least this part, and I think Archer is going to at least have an easier way to get in than Joby. Joby is definitely building out something here, but it's sort of, just spiky, prickly. Whenever you see these like lines above and beyond, that means you could get stopped out really easily. So if it just chops around in a channel, you can't really risk much. You're going to see your portfolio going up and down and up and down, and you're just going to get exhausted, in my opinion. Whereas with Archer, I mean, it is wicky, but you can at least risk the prior day. And some of these days are compressed, and at least we're coming down testing. So if you get in when it comes down here, you can risk $1 and you have less chance of getting chopped out. This is 6% a day. So, if we look at one of these days, it is a lot. If we look over at Joby's day, it's a little more, 7% a day, okay? So right now, it's starting to get compressed, but it wasn't really the case over here. It's like 10% in a single candle. So pick your poison. I personally think Archer is a little better positioned, and it's easier to risk off of these levels rather than picking Joby that went up a bunch and then pull back now. So that's the idea. We'll jump into more price levels in a second, but we don't want to totally put people to sleep. So Archer is electric vehicle vertical takeoff. I don't know why I say vehicle, but electric. It's implied. They definitely know how to do it, and analysts say these are like, not a no-name analyst. This is kind of more entry level for sure, but $13 is actually a price they've reached, and certainly within the wheelhouse here. This is the partnership we mentioned initially, and then Anduril as well, raising $450 million through this sort of vehicle to partner with Palmer Luckey, former Oculus founder, sold to Meta and then came back and is starting the next Palantir. It's crazy to say, the next Lockheed Martin, whatever you want to call it. So look, Archer at $300 million in funding, and that's not even including, I believe, this Anduril agreement. So there's plenty of money. It does take a lot of money to create these things. I mean, look, they're ridiculously cool, assuming they work and don't crash into other plans. So this is a lot of money, and Abu Dhabi's even in the mix. There's a lot of oil money in there, but don't want to be flippant about this. They did actually do some acquisitions. This was like a helicopter company. So this is actually happening, and it might be a little more regulatorily seamless to do some test flights over in Saudi Arabia. this is a lot of aircraft, 200 for $1 billion. So that'll be a big sale if that goes through. And then this Toyota investment is a big vote of confidence as well. So this is not a science project. This is a $900 million investment. And well, this is actually Joby that we're talking about now. But the whole point of this entire idea is that Joby already went and Archer is following along. And it's not like Archer is a laggard per se. They're more like a sympathy. They're more like in the same breath. They're kind of like when you see IO and Q, a quantum company, go up, you kind of know Rigetti is going to go up as well. And even QBTS, and to some extent QUBT went as well. Sort of in order of strength. Now, is Archer going to pull a Joby and go doubling in what looks like, a couple weeks here? This was crazy. Probably not. It's probably going to be closer to its type of action here, but all we really have to say is that if we can get in here, risk 20 cents, 25 cents, and make $10, $20, that's a no-brainer. And you're not really going to make $10 quickly. You could go up 10%, sell half your position. Like I always draw these stupid lines that aren't exactly true. Obviously, it gets choppier than that in reality, but in general, this is kind of like what could happen. So if you can sell half your position, you can endure a pullback and then have another rocket up and be able to hold through that. So Archer, basically, they're in like the FAA. There was sort of a pilot program, another no pun intended, but like a sort of test flight scenario where they're in the mix. So they don't, even though this is in progress, I think it's like definitely going to happen. And Joby's actually further along. So don't have to worry too much about this being like a moonshot or anything like that. This is definitely happening, and just we don't know the timeline. And delays are a challenge. People are scared of just having flying aircraft, obviously. But there are other countries that are maybe more hospitable to seeing this tested out. And I think we're going to see it. This was in June. Archer got this certificate, so they're getting more certificates, and then they can operate commercially. So it's definitely happening. Joby is in the last stage, which is actual testing with FAA pilots this year. So commercial operations in 2025 is insane. I mean, I can't picture these flying around, but I think that could be leading to the euphoria in Joby as well. But these are not no-name companies. There's even this company, automaker, that's invested $150 million in addition to that. Well, not in addition, the Toyota investment was for Joby, but in the same vein as the Toyota investment. So they're sort of not being pitted against each other necessarily, but there's definitely companies investing on both sides. And this is a lot of units, 650 annually by 2030, whereas Joby had that 200 units for Saudi Arabia. And these partnerships are huge as well, to have this software revenue stream as well. Even if the planes themselves, the aircraft themselves, take more time, they could get some maybe forward contracts, forward-looking recognized revenue from Palantir. I'm sure they'll figure a way to spin it so it's above the board and helpful to Palantir. Otherwise, Palantir wouldn't be teaming up with them. So those are all the collaborations. I think we could dive into this ad nauseum, but we don't really know what's going on. They're a startup. It's a $10 stock. It's kind of like whatever. We have thousands of stocks we can look at here. We're not going to get too deep in the weeds here on a company that still hasn't really barely gotten over this 200-day moving average, when you have companies that are absolutely soaring over that 200-day moving average, forming big flags. So if you haven't taken a look at Baidu recently, I'd definitely take a look at that. But if you're looking for a lower price stock, more inexpensive, that maybe has some more growth potential, given it just went from 4 to 8, Baidu obviously didn't, well, it almost doubled actually, but it's an insane example. this is the play, Archer. And if you like these kind of plays, head over to stockscommunity.com. Try it out for 7 days for $25 and see if it's for you. Asking questions in there, and I'm there to help you. Any question you ask, I can help. I get some of the YouTube comment questions, but some of them just sort of fly by me, or they're, mixed in with a bunch of Neo Army comments, which are tough to defend against. If you like this type of video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.